everyone. Checking. Checking. All right, I think audio is good. That's really important for this stream because we're going to be doing a reading stream where we go over the novel Surviving in Another World as a Villainous Fox Girl. So let's switch over to see to show up fine. It looks like it. Here's the cute art. You guys can see why I would love it. Main character here is on the left. This is her reincarnated sister on the right. And this is an Otome style novel where the perspective is from the girls who are interested in guys romantically. Great preparing us for that wonderful Valentine's Day coming up. It is a very cute and wholesome series as opposed to a lot of the other light novels out there. So far, I've very much enjoyed it as a light reader, as something that's cute and fun, not something that's big on drama or something that you absolutely cannot put down necessarily. This is more slice of life. So, let's get started reading. Surviving in Another World as a Villainous Fox Girl. Alright, table of contents. The copyright notice. Let's see if we can adjust this to fit the screen better. That's art, okay. Alright, that's about as good as we're gonna get there, I think. Ugh, please, can you... Oh, that makes it 2 columns. Okay. Do this. Those are about the same. Alright. I wanted it to have both pages on the same screen. I have plenty of room for that, but it doesn't seem to like that. Alright. Chapter 1, Fox Twins. I soar gently through the sky. Floating on the breeze like this is such an amazing feeling. With a burst of power, wings of light sprout from my back, taking me wherever my heart desires. The way the wind feels as it caresses my long hair, large ears, and tail is something that I will never tire of. When my silver fur glistens in the sun's rays, it fills me with pride. Winged fox. That's my race. There are plenty of other fox demi-humans out there, with each race differing slightly depending on the magical trait bestowed upon them from birth. My ability is to fly is the rarest trait of all. A lot of my friends are jealous of my flight, but honestly, I'm also a little jealous of those who can easily bend water and fire to their will, like my sister. The grass is always greener on the other side, or so they say. Miku, get over here this instant! My twin sister, a red fox, calls out to me. She's a cutie with soft orange fur, spotted here and there with patches of bright red. Despite being twins, we're nothing alike, but we're inseparable. But now's not the time for idle chatter. Now's the day they come to our village. I hurriedly alighted by her side. I can't believe you. How many times have I told you how important today is? I'm sorry, Claire, but stretching my wings is part of my daily routine. She looks adorable with cheeks puffed out in annoyance and her hands on her hips, as she only responds with her laughter. She narrows her big, red eyes at me before embracing me tightly. She's always been a hugger. Her peach-colored ears, twitching this way and that, tickle my face. I'm going to protect you, Miku, no matter what. Not this again. Those same words, spoken so seriously, followed by the same response I always give. I've heard this story so many times at this point, I'm at a loss for words. Miku, you know you can't tell a single soul about this. It has to stay our secret. When was the first time she told me about it? Probably back before. Oh, that got annoying. Okay. If I move my mouse to the wrong spot. When was the first time she told me about it? Probably back before I could even understand what was going on around me. Back when Claire was stringing words together with ease, and I was struggling to speak at all. She would regale me with this same tale over and over. You see, Claire is a genius whose mastery of reading and magic goes far beyond her years, and definitely beyond the others in our village, who all look up to her. They were primarily amazed that she was so young and knew enough words to weave together a story like that. It's pretty amazing, right? It's true, though. There's an outlandish reason why she can tell this specific story. I have these memories of a past life. I lived on a planet called Earth, in a country called Japan, where I spent all my time playing this Otome game. I was really into it. The world in the game I played wasn't so different from ours, and it was so exhilarating. My number one favorite character in the game, she would go on and on for hours. The way her eyes sparkled with delight as she told me all about this game, I couldn't help but get excited right along with her, always nodding along and encouraging her to continue. To be fair, it is a pretty enthralling story. A few years ago, though, the way she talked about her past, her so-called past life, grew tenser. I'm sure of it. This world we live in is the game I used to play. Ugh, it sounds so far-fetched though, right? What's wrong with me? She began to grow disheartened. I encouraged her to hone her fighting skills and magic skills to get strong enough to take on anyone in battle, hoping it could take her mind off things. Up until then, Claire had been doing the best she could for the both of us. But, hey there! Let me see. Bellamy Bloomfield, welcome to the chat. I am Walter Snacklefox. I am a adventurer and a pilot and aviator. I struggled against the food zombies in my past time, and as a reward for that, they gave me this cool VTuber model. So normally I would be playing gacha or some indie retro, but tonight we're doing reading. And the book is called Surviving in Another World as a Villainous Fox Girl. Thank you, thank you. What can you tell me about yourself? How did you come here? And I hope you enjoy the stream. Welcome to the chat. So, oh, of course, I love Tori. I show up on a lot of her streams. I am one of her most frequent reply boys on Twitter. Yes, she's very wonderful. Thank you for coming. I'm going to continue reading, and feel free to chat or ask any questions, and just enjoy yourself. Hopefully, this is my first time doing one of these streams. Oh, really? Have you ever heard of this one? And by these story genres, I guess you mean Otome? The kind of Otome, isekai series? Okay. This one, I think, is quite a bit different than at least some of them. This one is very wholesome. This one is very cute, though I guess there are others out there like it. This one does not have any anime or comics about it. I just got this one because I love Fox Girls, and I like the wholesome, cute side of things more than the spicy stuff. Well, thank you. Welcome in. Love to have you. So she began to grow disheartened. I encouraged her to hone her fighting and magic skills to get strong enough to take on anyone in battle, hoping it could take her mind off things. Up until then, Claire had been doing the best she could for the both of us, but she started encouraging me to train harder alongside her. For someone as uncoordinated as myself, it was pretty tough, but seeing Claire trying her hardest was all the encouragement I needed. I mean, I'd heard her story so many times by that point that I probably could have recited it from memory. There was one part in particular, though, that I couldn't seem to wrap my mind around no matter how hard I tried. Around the time of the Harvest Festival, a group of handsome boys will arrive at our village, and Miku, you'll fall in love with one of them at first sight. Suddenly, a horde of monsters will descend upon us, and the two of us will be the only ones to escape the total annihilation of our village thanks to the help of those boys. Yes, one of my mods is a super big Miku fan. I always got amused at that they just, oh yeah, her name is Miku. As if, like, they're not gonna name her after one of the most legendary Twin Tails characters out there. And Vocaloid, and hey, she's catching strays, but it's cute, it's cool. Suddenly, a horde of monsters will descend upon us, and the two of us will be the only ones to escape the total annihilation of our village, thanks to the help of those boys, who then proceed to escort us to the capital. That's the basic premise leading up to the start of the game. There's no way I would ever let you head down a path to your own doom. There's no way I'd ever let the village be destroyed in the first place. I'll protect you no matter what. A group of handsome boys, and I fall in love with one of them? A path leading to my doom? Honestly, it doesn't make a lick of sense, but she always speaks of it with such an ice-cold, deadly serious tone. Despite being an outlandish tale, I believe her, and today is the day those handsome boys are supposedly coming to our village. It's our yearly harvest festival and our 15th birthday. Yes, imagine that. It's like something out of Twilight or something, I'm sure. It's our yearly harvest festival and our 15th birthday, so there's no doubt about it. If something is going to happen, it'll be today. That's why Claire's almond-shaped, bright red eyes seem clouded with worry, more so than usual. Please, we must get through today, she says. Once they arrive, the boys will continue on to the northern wood where they have business. At that point, the horde of monsters will attack from the southern wood. Since everyone will be preoccupied with the festival, the village will be overrun in no time. You're the only one who believes me, Miku. We have to protect the village together. Of course, Claire warned the villagers. She even warned our chief. Everyone dismissed her completely, telling her to stop spouting ridiculous conspiracies and to instead use that energy to help prepare for the festival. A part of me knew from the beginning that they wouldn't believe a child, but their reactions were still pretty frustrating. Do I believe it? Well, not entirely. It's impossible to imagine a vicious attack on our village where everything seems so peaceful. But watching the way Claire talks about it, those eyes of hers focused on the ground and her body shaking with fear, I can't sit by and do nothing. Deep in my heart, I know I will do whatever it takes to help my sister. I trust Claire completely, which means I also believe that she is telling the truth. Okay, I'm not sure how much help I'll actually be, but I'll do my best to help in whatever way I can. I won't let you face this alone, okay? Aw, Miku, I love you so much. Whoa. With tears in her eyes, she suddenly wraps her arms around me tightly, and I almost fall backward in surprise. Managing to keep my balance, I reassuringly hug her back, stroking her hair gently. Yes, she is definitely the most precious girl. She is definitely so wonderful. She is practically a Mary Sue in this novel, and I'm just here for it. It's so cute. I'm gonna let them cook. It's very cute. They're really here. You didn't believe me, did you? It's a little before noon, and as the village is hustling to prepare for tonight's festival, a group of handsome boys arrive. I can't help but gawk at the sight of them. Don't look at me like that, Claire. I'm sorry for doubting you. Try not to stare. No matter the path we choose, they're going to talk to us anyway, okay? I didn't realize that they were going to be this good looking. You can have butterflies, but nothing beyond that. You can look all you want, but no falling in love. Repeat after me. No, falling in love. Good. How many times will this back and forth continue? Look at her, acting all triumphant with her arms crossed. Hard to stay annoyed at her, though. I know she's only looking out for me. I just worry a lot about you a lot since you're such a pushover. So, in other words, slow and dumb. That's what makes you so charming. You're not even gonna say I'm wrong? I know that I'm not always the brightest, but she doesn't have to state it so matter of factly. Sure, I might have believed Claire's wild stories because she's my sister, but generally speaking, I'm not so easily duped. Oh ho, what's going on over here? Are you two ladies fighting? Huh? Suddenly, I hear an unfamiliar voice coming from right behind me, and I whirl around. I think I hear Claire squeal, but it's too late. The face of the boy who spoke a moment ago is right in front of me. He has long eyelashes and a high, well defined nose. Green eyes sparkle from within soft, smooth skin. Never seen anyone this gorgeous before. Ah! Ah! Whoa, sorry. Caught completely off guard, I yelp in surprise and stumble backward. The owner of the voice, likewise, takes a few hurried steps back, probably just as surprised as I am. I wasn't expecting you to turn around so quickly, he says. You startled me. Apologies for being far too close so suddenly. Don't worry. It's for Kay. I'm too startled to speak correctly. How embarrassing. I feel my cheeks heating up, almost too hot to touch. And there we've got some art. The two girls, probably Miku here on the right and Claire on the left, and one of the boys. I'm sorry, but I think one of my mates is calling me. My name's Hector, by the way. May I have the honor of knowing yours? Miku? What a charming name. I hope to bump into you again. See you around. And with that, the young man with golden hair named Hector runs off. All I can do is stand there, staring at him. Miku? Yes, ma'am. That chilling voice, muttering my name as if breathing directly down my neck, from right behind me. She scared me half to death, but I knew the unspoken words in her voice, and everything was fine in that regard. I'm not in love. Good. I bow formally as I speak, and she answers in a huff, crossing her arms in front of her. There's a brief pause before we both burst into laughter. Are you sure, though? You didn't even feel a twinge. Well, he was extraordinarily handsome, and I can't deny that I'm a sucker for a sweet face, but still... Thank you for being honest. Don't worry. I can tell just by looking at you that you haven't fallen for him, and thank goodness. Even I'm shocked by how closely reality is mirroring the story in my head. Maybe even down to the two of you falling in love. Claire sticks her tongue out at me playfully before giggling like a naughty kid. Is Claire a bit smitten as well? I can't blame her, though. He was too good looking to be real. Now then, main problem starts from here, she reminds me. I know. She looks stressed as she clenches her fists. That's right. This is when everything takes a turn for the worse. Have you noticed it yet? She asks. I wouldn't have noticed at all if not for your intense training sessions. A foul presence is emanating from the direction of the southern wood. It means a swarm of monsters is approaching. All right, let's go. We have business to take care of before they arrive. Okay. We sprint out of the village, Claire holding a ball of fire in her hand and wings of light shining from my back. The arrival of the handsome young men, and now this ominous presence. I begin to feel an almost crippling fear take hold of me as I realize everything Claire endless told about me over the years is finally coming true. But everything will be okay. We'd prepared for this. Now is not the time to be afraid. I shoot up into the sky, keeping a close eye on Claire, who is sprinting across the ground. As I try to desperately suppress the fear that threatens to consume me, my body shuddering, I look in the direction of the evil aura. A swarm of monsters! Where? Right in front of us. We've almost reached the vanguard. At that instant, Claire's entire body became engulfed in flames. Suddenly, she takes off even faster than before, and it isn't long before her fiery flames attract the attention of the monsters. She swings her fist with all her might toward the horde, and I notice her tail is thicker than usual, swollen with concentrated magical power. Take this, she shouts. I watch as the fire from her hand bursts out toward the monsters. The flames swirl into a twirling vortex, quickly growing in size, and engulfs the first row of monsters. It's impressive, no matter how many times I've seen it. I hear their howls of pain as the flames consume them. It pains me to see and hear the suffering of any creature. No? Can't think it that way. After all, if we were to hesitate for even a moment, they would not hesitate to set us on fire. I learned a lot from Claire's harsh teaching, including what to do when faced with a dangerous situation. I can't let Claire face this alone. Miku! On it! I'm up. I have to make it easier for Claire to attack. I fly over the swarm of monsters, focusing my power while clasping my hands together almost as if in prayer. I can feel magic gathering in my tail. I use a spell to create a light veil that will trap the monsters within a glowing shell for a short period of time. Unfortunately, I only have access to non-offensive light magic. Although I can't attack, I can still offer support in a multitude of ways. With that said, I still have a ways to go in knowing how to properly wield my magic, making the radius of my light veil still fairly small, plus I can't hold it up for very long. Honestly, I was surprised when Claire initially told me of her plan of using the veil on the monsters and not us. If we use your veil on the monsters instead of us, we can hold them in one place, right? I gasped in surprise when she mentioned her plan during one of our training sessions. I'd always viewed my veil as a bubble of protection, but I could also use it as an impenetrable prison, trapping the monsters in place. The fact that Claire could come up with this sort of backwards approach was part of what made her so amazing in my eyes. Honestly, she was always been amazing in all sorts of ways. Since I couldn't attack, my job was to trap the monsters in place and blind them. Then, once they couldn't move, flame spin! Foxfire! Claire would use the might of her fire power to take care of all the horde at once. She looks beautiful as she twirls in place, as if dancing. It almost looks like the flames engulfing her body are gracefully dancing along with her. Next page. The monsters are unable to escape her ferocious storm of fire, and I feel my heart break at the sight of such immense suffering as they burn alive. But such is the price to pay to ensure survival. Remember, these monsters mercilessly slaughter any and all living things. I shake my head before lightly slapping my cheek in an attempt to snap myself out of it. Foxfire! Foxfire! All that's left is to rinse and repeat. Her straightforward strategy slowly eliminates the monsters, one by one. Although she has the potential to unleash fairly powerful magic attacks, these two techniques are all she can actually use right now. That's right, we didn't have a lot of options. Being primarily self-taught, our magical abilities are still developing, and our power is limited in effectiveness. To be fair, there aren't many others who can wield even this much magic. The other villagers only use as much as necessary to get by or to slay monsters. Most are satisfied with one or two spells, basic attack spells, just in case. Ha ha ha! Gosh, she pants. How many of them are there? They never stop. Foxfire! Claire, please don't push yourself too hard, I call out to her. Hydrate. She's breathing heavily. She's been constantly twirling to keep her magic going and is clearly nearing her limit. Meanwhile, I've been floating above everything, simply keeping the horde trapped in one spot. I can't leave her here, exhausted and spent from continuously casting spells. It's no good, she shouts. There's still so many of them. Ah! Claire? Oh! Clearly not ready to give up just yet, I follow her gaze only to find myself staring at a hopeless atrocity spreading out before me. The horde of monsters is only growing in size, spreading out as far as the eye can see. There's just too many of them, she says. I've never heard of a horde this size before. Should we head back, Claire? We have to get the villagers away from here as quickly as possible. It's clearly evident that my sister, who is always so strong and full of energy, has lost hope. There's no way the two of us alone can take on a horde of this size. We had planned on doing what we could, but this was like pouring a cup of water on a volcano to extinguish the flames. The only thing left to do now is to warn the villagers so that they have time to escape. The village has a high probability of ending up in shambles, but it's a much better prospect than everyone dying instead. I'm not sure if we'll both make it in time, Miku. You have to warn them. I'll stay here and try to buy you some time. Don't be absurd. I'll be fine. I promise I'll escape if I can get an opening, but you won't make it in time otherwise. Go on. Go. I stare back into Claire's deep red eyes and watch as one emotion after another flashes through them. Determination, and then fear. I bite my lower lip, balling my hands into tight fists before wings of light spread from my back, and I shoot off into the sky. Before I leave, I place a simple word around the monsters that will hopefully give Claire brief respite. It will only last for less than 1 minute, but it's better than nothing. I'll come back for you, I promise. I'll be here. We lightly bump fists before I fly off without a backward glance. I'll make it. When I go all out, I'm incredibly fast. We did train pretty hard after all. I can't help but worry, though, and that's why I have to hurry. I'm shy, slow, and not really good at anything. Will the villagers really believe someone like me? Yes, they have to. More than anything, Claire's life depends on it. I channel more magic than usual into my outspread wings and zip along at full speed toward the village. Just then, almost immediately after I take off, I spot someone. They're quite a distance outside the village, and I'm confused why there might be anyone out here alone in the middle of nowhere. Yet here they are. 3 of them, in fact. Among them, I can't help but recognize the soft, silky blonde hair and those gorgeous facial features. Hey, seems we meet again. I've got a lot of questions, but mainly, what brings you out here, he asks. What brings me? I stutter. I hover in the air, puzzled, and he extends a hand out toward me. Let's just say I have a bad feeling about something that I would prefer not to come true. Time is of the essence, huh? And now, you need our help. Is that about right, Miku? All I can do is nod, dumbfounded, as he says my name with a soft smile on his lips. So you were right, huh? A shorter guy with black hair mutters sourly under his breath, almost incredulously as I lead the trio of men, including Hector, onward. Seems like Hector's onward arrogance is spot on once again, Macro. And you said he's out of his mind. You said the same, Rennie. You both need a lesson in manners. All I can do is watch on, flustered, as the 3 men exchange snide remarks, laughing merrily all the while, despite the severity of the situation. I have a feeling the 3 of them are our only chance at successfully holding the monster horde at bay. They clearly wield considerable power by the way all the hairs on my body are standing on end. On top of that, despite being demi-humans, they have the appearance of normal humans. Normally, demi-humans retain some features of their main race, even while in humanoid form, but that doesn't seem to be the case for them. The fact that they can disguise themselves so perfectly is further proof of the power they hold. Hi there, Tailsplash. Welcome in. So, like I promised, we're doing book night tonight. This story is about... yes. Alright, so you've at least been introduced. Up till now, we have a pair of fox girls, Miku, the main character, and Claire, and they're trying to save their town and not fall in love. Like, let's make that clear. They're desperately trying to not fall in love with handsome boys. Right now, they've enlisted the help of these boys to help them hopefully save their village. Next page. Also, earlier, we were laughing hilariously that one of them was named Miku, who is, yes, who was one of Tailsplash's favorites. A big Miku fan over here. Prinny, knock it off. You're talking like some sort of ruffian. Oh no, not the ruffians. Ruffians are fans of Fuamoko and the duo from Hololive. Really cute. Definitely a little bit similar to the characters here. Though this book was written, I believe, before Fuamoko debuted. That's just a little silly. I'm sorry, Miku. Rinny's a harmless goof. He's simply confirming the scope of your abilities, so no need to worry, okay? Really? He's right, my bad. Could tell you possess some sort of power, that's all. The taller, muscular man with tousled red hair speaks so roughly that it unconsciously puts me on edge. He corrects himself in a softer tone of voice, making me realize that he isn't such a bad guy after all. Still, with a guy so big and a voice so deep, I can't help but be a little frightened. How do you know that? As I went to speak, my voice wavers. Ugh. You scared her off to death, Rainy. You're a barbarian. Shut your pessimistic pie hole. When all you do is yell, the words that come out lack intelligence. You! Both the redhead, who is quick to anger, and the shorter black-haired boy, who constantly eggs him on, are terrifying. This isn't the time for any of this. Settle down, both of you. At least until we make it to the monster horde. What? Claire! Just as Hector chides the two boys, a huge explosion erupts somewhere ahead of us, and we all look toward the source of the noise. My eyes sweep the sky for any signs of Claire, my body moving before I realize what's happening. Claire must have caused the explosion herself. She could have used the force of the explosion to send herself flying as a means of escape. It's a dangerous tactic, though, as she could just as easily hurt herself in the process, and I can't see her body anywhere. She can only use offensive magic, meaning she won't be able to break her fall, and the fall itself would be from too high up to land gracefully without any sort of help. I have to try and catch her before she hits the ground, but I'm not sure I can make it in time. I immediately morph into my pure beast form, something I hardly ever do. As a fox, my body is bigger and stronger, meaning I might still have a chance. Wings of light sprout from my vulpine back, and the wind sweeps my silver fur back as I shoot off into the sky. Wow, she's gorgeous. You don't have time for you to stand around gawking, dummy Rinny. Shut up, I'm moving. I can vaguely make out voices shouting from behind me as the trio began to engage in battle with the horde. Speaking of which, Claire always warned me never to let anyone see my true beast form because of how sacred it is. Bad people with bad intentions might do unspeakable things to me. I can't believe I went back on my word, but helping Claire right now is my top priority. There's no way I can live without her. Claire. I spot Claire plummeting from the sky motionless, and I manage to snatch her torn clothing out of midair. Changing direction, I land on the ground some distance from the monster horde. Miku? Claire, hang on. I'm gonna help you. This isn't the time for tears, and yet I can't stop them pouring down my face. I ignore them, wrapping myself around her body, cradling her before casting my light magic. Ah, that's so warm, Miku. Thank you. Ugh. Sorry for leaving you, Claire, but I found help, so everything's gonna be okay now. Help? As her wounds slowly begin fading away, I explain everything that happened. About bumping into Hector and his friends on my way back to the village. About feeling an immensely strong power from the three and somehow knowing that they would be able to handle the monsters. Huh? The handsome trio? I don't understand. Wait, you shouldn't move. I warn her as she abruptly tries to sit up upon hearing my words, but she brushes me aside. Her eyes are wide in shock as she stares at the three boys. But why? They said they were going to the Northern Wood, and also, ow. Claire, you need to calm down. I try to keep Claire from getting to her feet and running back into the fray, when suddenly she snaps, clearly panicked. The story has changed! That's right, the story. The situation has deviated from Claire's story. The three boys are supposed to head toward the northern wood on business, and by the time they return, the village is in shambles, and the monsters, next page, have already gone on their way. That's why they couldn't help us, and why you've been training so hard so we could fight the monsters ourselves. Claire's wound-riddled body is proof of that. I just assumed they happened to meander off in this direction by chance, but it's clear that Claire doesn't think that this is a mere coincidence. The only reason I tried so hard to change the original story is because I know about this future. If I hadn't told you, Miku, we wouldn't have trained so hard, and you'd still be back at the village. That's true. It's frightening to think about. I'd probably be back at the village, helping get ready for the festival, and I'd be excited for my birthday, all the while being completely ignorant of the imminent danger. Perhaps it's just a coincidence, but there's also a high chance that's not the case, Claire says ominously. Not the case? Yes. Upon saying this, Claire slowly gets to her feet. Any sense of painful or stiff movement is now completely gone, and she seems almost completely healed, so I stand up alongside her. I look over at Claire, only slightly taller than me, in my true beast form, and notice the way her red eyes blaze with fury the moment the desire to kill the horde before us. And I wonder if one of those three is a reborn like me. He must know about the game, she declares. We have to figure out if that's true, and if so, then we must figure out which one it is, she shouts, her gaze unwavering. Huh? Really? I blink at her. To tell you the truth, nothing Claire saying right now makes any sense. It's not that I doubt her. When it comes to the story she keeps bringing up, or this world, or her memories, I wanted to believe her from the very beginning, and besides, the monsters showed up just like she said they would. Well, I can't deny that even I had my doubts about it, but now I believe her completely. But the idea that there might be another person like Claire, and that person might be one of those three guys, for being such an odd phenomenon, I wonder how many others exist that are like Claire, retaining memories of a different world and a past life. Still, with that said, Hector was the one who decided to come here. Hector. Hydrate. Hearing my words, she turns to face me. Suddenly, her eyes grow wide and she shouts in anger. Hold on, Miku! I just realized that you're in your true beast form. Change back, right this instant. What? You just noticed now? To be fair, she had been badly hurt when I found her, so it'd be an understatement to say that she was preoccupied and may not have noticed. Still. Yes. After we get to the end of this chapter, maybe I'll show you the cover. I revert to my normal half-beast body, a demi-human. I'm not as strong as those three, so I still have my fox ears and tail. I wanted us to be able to change completely into human form before we ever met that trio, Claire sighs. I guess it's all just a matter of training and not having enough time. Suppressing your magical abilities to that degree is pretty difficult, I agree. As demi-humans, we can take 3 different forms. This kind of half-beast form is the easiest to get around in, which is why it's so common. We're born like this, and that's probably why it feels the most natural. It's incredibly easy to accidentally slip into true beast form when overwhelmed by emotion, whether it be anger, sadness, or joy. Some say those who succumb to their emotions are still children. Once you grow older, it becomes easier to control, which is where Claire and I currently stand. The final form is true human form, like the 3 boys currently fighting the monster horde. Being able to control your magic ability to that extent is incredibly difficult, and only doable by advanced practitioners. The upside is being recognized as a demi-human who can take on a true human form, which in turn means better jobs, with fewer oddballs, plus the ability to handle very potent magical spells. Although the human and monster continents are fairly disconnected, there are humans who can make the trek over to get their hands on fur, horns, and claws in order to sell them for high prices on the human continent, where they are very rare and valuable. Monsters, on the other hand, oftentimes abduct children for slave labor on this continent. The first time I heard about that, I was too afraid to sleep. Our village is fairly peaceful, at least. By the way, half monsters do not have any power, making especially rare breeds basically sitting ducks for evil folks with evil intentions. Regardless of the rarity of their race, and even if they can fully transform into human form, those with considerable skill can see through any disguise. Personally, humans who attack half monsters because they have no way to defend themselves are truly despicable. Those three are demi-humans. I don't think that they would do anything bad, but throwing a reborn into the mix changes things. I don't think we can say with any certainty that they're not up to something. Claire was on maximum alert. Considering, however, they're all in human form and still able to fight, we wouldn't stand a chance against them. They're all so strong, I say. That's a different matter entirely. They seem to be having a blast as they casually mop up the monster horde one after the other. It's honestly kind of terrifying, even if they're helping us out. Do you think Hector is hiding something? Claire asks. Oh, yeah. The other two didn't seem to believe monsters were out here. They said he was crazy, or something like that. That settles it then. So Hector is the reborn, Claire concludes. Although we still don't know for sure, there's a very high probability that the reborn is him. So what do we do now? I ask hesitantly. Claire simply stands there, arms crossed and a concerned look on her face, before she opens her mouth. We're not doing anything. The village should be safe now, since the story played out differently than it should have. There's no reason for those three to take us with them. We'll say our goodbyes and go on our separate ways. The end. She grabs me by both shoulders, her eyes wide. Claire's gaze is deadly serious. I will always protect you, Miku. Just in case, if that Hector guy approached you on purpose, then there's a chance this was all a trap. Don't be taken by him, okay? Don't fall in love. Say it! Don't fall in love. Good. Everything's getting a little too complicated for me, though I can't help but laugh at how serious she is, and like that, the tension between us is gone. It seems like they're finishing up, she says. Huh? No way! The three of them, alone, were able to vanquish all those monsters that quickly? Based on their stats, it's not that surprising. Oh look, here they come. Completely taken aback by her deduction, I can't help but blurt out, How would you know something like that? I'm well versed in the game's mechanics. Oh, of course, not like that makes sense anyway. Claire said she would always protect me, and I believe her. That's why I trust her and put my confusion aside for now. Hey, you girls okay? Hector asks as he steps forward, away from his companions. The wind ruffles his blonde hair, the golden strands sparkling underneath the rays of the setting sun. He looks breathtakingly gorgeous. Yeah, we're fine. Thanks for the help. Guys, I'm pretty sure I saw you earlier at the village, right? That's right. I had a brief chat with Miku there. I'm pretty sure you were there accompanying her. Miku is my younger twin. I'm Claire. Next page. Claire, huh? I'm Hector. But for now, nice to meet you. Upon saying that, he extends his hand out toward her, and Claire grasps it with a smile. Actually, they're both smiling. And yet, am I imagining things? Or do I see sparks flying from both of them? I could have sworn you were heading toward the northern woods, so why are you here? Claire asks. I had a bad feeling. Call it a hunch. Besides, I could ask the same of you two. Why are you here instead of preparing for tonight's festival? call it the same hunch. They spoke while locked in their handshake, big smiles plastered on their faces. It was kind of creepy, actually. What's their deal? Beats me. Rinny, watching on in exasperation, and Macro, with a look of pure, unadulterated boredom on his face, stood just behind Hector, refusing to get involved. What should I do? This is awkward. With their conversation at a standstill, silence descends on all of us when suddenly, grumble! Yeah. Right now they're like, what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas. Unable to read the room, my stomach lets out a loud grumble. I'm mortified, my tail and ears dripping in sheer embarrassment. I quickly grab my stomach with both arms, trying to stifle the sound, but it's too late. Everyone is staring at me. My cheeks are probably just as bright as Claire's hair. Sorry, I guess I'm hungry. At the sound of my straightforward confession, Hector bursts into laughter. Now he's laughing at me. I want to curl into a ball, but instead, Claire hugs me tight. You did so good, Miku. Thank you for saving my life, she whispers, and my heart fills with love. That was my line. I hug her back and speak quietly enough so that only she can hear. You too. Nice job. So you're hungry? Yes. My stomach gave the perfect lead, and she followed him amazingly. That's why I love her. We giggle together before a sudden loud harumph interrupts us. We turn to see Hector watching us, a wry smile on his face. Oh, I forgot about him. Oops. At any rate, let's head back to the village together, shall we? Sure. Let's do that, Claire says. Why was their supposed first meeting fraught with such clear disdain? Are they simply incompatible? Is it like the opposite of falling in love at first sight? Of course, I know about Claire's suspicions, but if she continues acting so openly distrustful, I worry he might put up his guard and act suspicious of us too. With the festival tonight, there will be tons of food, so please stick around and enjoy yourself. I pipe up, hoping desperately to lighten the mood. Are you sure? Hector quickly responds. Of course, Claire says in my stead while pushing him lightly toward the village. Is she pushing him away from me? I already told her I wasn't in love with him. She's such a worrywart. Are we allowed to come too? The muscular, red-headed Rinny speaks up awkwardly. That reminds me. We owe our lives to you and the continued safety of our village. I wish to thank you formally, I say. Hydrate. That won't be necessary. That's right. We don't need thanks. I hurried to stand in front of them to offer my formal thanks for what they had done, but the short, black-haired Macro interrupts me, speaking without hesitation before turning away. As if in agreement, Rinny waves his hand as if shooting my thanks away. That's not right, I protest. I can't stand it. I puff my cheeks out, clearly annoyed, the fur on my tail sticking out in all directions. I wasn't really angry, though. I just want them to take my feelings into consideration. Please accept my thanks. I know what you did was insignificant to you, but you saved our lives and the lives of everyone in our village. You saved all of us. I have to say something. They seem taken aback by my words. To not say anything, it just seems... I trail off. I don't blame them. When it comes to apologies, it's up to the recipient whether they want to listen and accept the words or not. But I want to thank them somehow. Wrong and rude. I lower my head dejected. I guess I'm kind of forcing my thanks onto them, which is pretty rude in itself. Thinking about it, I immediately feel bad for what I've done. I've gone too far. I'm really sorry. I forced my feelings onto you. That was not my intention. I apologize right away and immediately worry that I might make them feel bad. Arg, why am I so frustratingly annoying sometimes? Claire never worries about silly stuff like this. Ugh, there's no way I can look them in the eye now. As I fall deeper inside my head, my anxiety swirling in circles, I feel something soft on the top of my head. Hey, come on. We were in the wrong too, but we accept your apology and your gratitude. Hesitantly, I look up only to see it was Rinny who patted my head. His eyes are focused on something far off in the sky, clearly feeling awkward. Fine. I'm sorry as well. It was just a little embarrassing, is all. And you're welcome. Marco crosses his arms over his chest with a scowl and quickly averts his gaze. What's this? These guys are actually pretty nice. I guess I shouldn't be so quick to judge people by the way they look, but to be fair, they look pretty intimidating. Alright, so let me show you the cover here. Tail Splash. There's our two girls. One on the left is Miku, one on the right is Claire, and these are the three boys back there. Let me see how easily... Perfect. Alright. Chapter 2. Setting out on a journey. This is from Hector's perspective. To tell you the truth, I was shocked. Seriously dumbfounded. Huh? Wait, how did Miku escape from the monster horde? Why is she even coming from that direction and not in the village? That's not how the story goes. I hope I was successful in masking my true feelings. I feel like I did the best I could, putting on a facade of politeness, like always. Ha ha ha, yes. Putting on a facade of politeness, like always. It took a lot of work to reach this moment in order to protect her. Also, I could follow the story perfectly. That's right, I'm Hector. In this world, at least, in my past life, I was a normal Japanese university student, but now I'm Hector. I might not be quite as, polite and soft-spoken as the character I play, but I do have to do my best to play nice so as to not deviate from the original script. Imagine a Japanese guy not being as polite as the main character. My mask is only lowered when I'm alone with Rinny and Macro. Hey, you girls okay? I know already. So stop staring at me like that, you two. I mentally respond to my friend's judgmental looks. One part cool indifference and one part dumbfounded shock. I know this is completely out of character for me. I have to force myself to pretend the person before me doesn't mean the world to me. Honestly, I want nothing more than to drop the act and to be myself in front of Miku. But I can't. For the sake of the story. I've grown used to my friends calling me a weirdo anyway. The reason why is because I had to convince them a horde of monsters was actually coming from the southern wood, directly contradicting the information we were previously given. When I explained I just had a hunch about it, they remained skeptical, although they ultimately followed my lead. That's not really important though. For what it's worth, I was right, and the horde really was coming out of the southern wood. But then the unexpected happened. Those fox twins. In the original story, they should have been back in the village preparing for the festival. I was completely caught off guard. The original story said nothing about the twins being out here fighting the pack of monsters on their own. In fact, the story would be over and done if they died here. And then there's... I could have sworn you were heading toward the northern woods, so why are you here? She's got a grip on her. I'm pretty sure the older sister's name is Claire. She seems pretty hostile for some reason. I can't help but notice the glare hidden beneath her obviously fake smile. Or Miku, fidgeting nervously behind her sister. She's adorable, just as cute as ever. No wonder she's my favorite. It's odd though. Claire shouldn't be acting this hostile toward me. Okay, thank you for coming in. Thank you for lurking. I am so glad that we had somebody to join who really enjoyed what I'm doing here. Thank you. According to the original story, she's the type of girl who's strong-willed with a bubbly and energetic personality. It seems like we're veering farther off course. As we stood there, our smiles growing increasingly strained, Miku's stomach let out a loud grumble. Ah, she's too cute! Even her tummy rumbling is adorable. I wish I was her grumbly tummy. What? Just look at her with her cheeks flushed with embarrassment, hugging her silvery tail in her arms, her ears drooping. My God, she's an angel. I couldn't stifle an odd noise of endearment. As if following her sister's lead, Claire gave Miku a hug. The two stood huddled together, talking quietly and giggling. What a sight. You're a blessing from the heavens. I can't say that, though. We have to move on to the next plot point now that we've saved the village. Just like in the game. Hydrate. At any rate, let's head back to the village together, shall we? Sure, let's do that. Huh? Why did Claire respond? I was asking Miku. And then she had the nerve to casually push me forward. Hey, I want to get close to Miku, not you. She is pretty strong, though. You'd never think she grew up in a normal village like this one. There's no doubt about it. Claire definitely works out. And not only that, her magical ability seems stronger than it should be as well. Miku, too. It's a casual observation since I can't see their stats directly, but in the original story, when we first meet, neither girl knows the first thing about battle. Although they're not quite on the same level as us, their fighting prowess is still considerably higher than it should be. There's something weird going on for sure. This isn't the world I know. Well, the names are the same, and so are the looks and character traits. I'm well aware that the end product is oftentimes not quite the same as the planned material, but the various races, the towns and villages, the locations, even Rini and Macro, are all as they should be according to the game manual. But not me. If I'm an exception, could it be? Are these two girls the same as me? Yeah, that has to be it. If I'm a reborn, then it makes sense that there would be others like me. No point in getting all smug about feeling special. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's clear as day that these two are here when they shouldn't be, and they possess qualities, personalities, and abilities they shouldn't have according to the game manual. I have a feeling Claire was reincarnated like I was. Call it another hunch. Miku's mental capabilities seem to align with the guide, though. Being sisters, I'm sure Claire filled Miku on everything she could. Claire's the one who's acting completely out of character, after all. She should be falling for Rini, but instead she's falling for me. Claire should be the rival character for Rini's story route. Is it possible that she's suddenly my rival on this route? Or is she into my character that much that she's ignoring the original story? I can't get too overly optimistic about this. After all, I'd be a real dummy to think she'd have any interest in me at all, considering her clear hostility. So what then? There's only one answer. Judging from how she seems to dote on Miku, it's clear Claire is an overprotective older sister. And older as in twin older? And she doesn't want to simply hand Miku over to me. Yep, that makes sense. That's why she didn't bat an eye at Brinny or Macro, but instead honed on me. I get it, but... You're both so sweet, Miku says in an angelic voice. What? That's what she was supposed to say to me! Brinny! Macro! How could you? Ah! Only Claire hadn't messed things up. Well, fine. If that's what she wants, then I'll play her game. There's no way I'll lose. I will get Miku to fall in love with me and give her eternal happiness no matter what. And I'll make sure she doesn't go down the path to her own doom. I refuse to, next page, fall for the heroine. I might be Hector, but I'm not that Hector. My future is in my hands. I'm still not exactly sure what Claire's endgame is, so happily observe for now and bide my time. I'll come up with a better plan once I figure out what's going on. I slap my cheeks lightly as newfound confidence surges through my body. And at the Miku's perspective, We're heading back to the village when I suddenly realized something. The mountain of monster corpses we're about to leave behind? Why didn't I think of it sooner? Shouldn't we do something about those corpses? Frazzled, I mentioned it to the other, only to be met with Rini's nonchalant response. Our job was to take care of the monster horde. We made sure to clean up after ourselves. We're professionals after all. You mean I cleaned up after us, you oaf? You didn't lift a finger, Macro interjects moodily. Don't get so hung up on the details, you snarky brat. You're the one to try to mooch off the hard work of other people. You want to fight, and those two are at it again. But when did you have time to clean up? Trying to stop their argument before it gets too heated, I quickly pipe up, inquiring about the mess. We started back toward the village as soon as we took out the horde, and there were a lot of corpses. Well, it's not really a secret, but you want to hear something neat? Macro asks. Thank goodness they stopped fighting to answer me. I'm sure they'll be picking on each other before long, but at least for now, their attention is focused on me. Although that in itself is a little terrifying. Sure, I would love to hear about it if you'll tell me, I say. Hydrate. Seeing how earnest I appeared to be and wanting to hear what they had to say, Macro turns his attention away from Winnie. Whew! As Macro slowly walks forward, the soil begins moving around his feet, almost as if it was alive. I made a pact with the earth's spirits, which means I can use the power of the earth to return dead baddies back to the soil. Everything will be cleaned up before you know it. Wow, what do you mean by spirits? He explained it all in a matter-of-fact way, but what are these spirits? I don't have a clue. Confused, I look to Rini, silently pleading for help with my eyes. As if able to pick up on unspoken thoughts, he adds a bit more information. Macro's a dwarf. Each race has their own specific magical abilities, and in this case, dwarves are able to use this type of natural magic because of a pact made between them and the earth spirits. You've never heard about it before? Next page. He's a dwarf? I'm more surprised about him being a dwarf than about the spirit stuff. I've only heard about dwarves in stories. Claire mentioned them to me at some point, but I hadn't realized that there was an entire race. I wonder if Claire realized Macro's a dwarf. Rainy, you talk too much, Macro said in a low voice. Oh, sorry, but it's not that big of a deal for you, right? You dwarves are a rare race, but you're strong enough to fend for yourself if anyone gets any funny ideas. All right. Rare races are usually targeted more often by good-for-nothing humans. Although demi-human trafficking is, for the most part, not allowed, there are rumors of it often happening in the shadows of society. That's why Claire always warns me to be careful. I promise I won't tell anyone about you, so I'd be grateful if you wouldn't tell anyone about me either. Let's just keep this between us, I say, but feel the words drying up in my mouth. Page. After all, the two of them were pretty gruff looking. Rini is pretty rough and tumble, while Macro is a man of few words but is always, somehow, in a mood. A part of me knows that neither are really bad guys. They are living proof to me that I should not judge others based on appearances alone. Still, it's impossible to completely ignore their overt abrasiveness. I wait for an answer, growing more anxious by the moment, before Macro finally speaks up, expressionless as always. Fine. A shared secret. That good with you? Oh, yeah. What a relief. I'm glad I had the courage to ask. Excuse me. I can move forward now without any regrets, and as a bonus, the tension between us seems to have lifted as well. You're pretty quiet, but you can speak your mind when you need to. Ow! Sorry? Rennie slapped my back without warning, and my tail stuck up straight up in surprise. I guess he doesn't fully understand how strong he is. Still, Oddly enough, I don't feel anxious at all. Perhaps because the tension in the air is gone? I wonder why. Perhaps they'd simply been wary of us? It was odd that we'd gone after the monsters all by ourselves. Anyone would be suspicious. Knowing they finally let their guard down around me makes me happy. Although, I still don't fully understand why they suddenly feel more comfortable around us. You're not a very good liar, are you? Rennie asks with a grin, while I'm still trying to figure out the reason for the shift in the atmosphere between us. Huh? Why do you say that? I look at them quizzically while Rennie tries to hold back a laugh in response. What's with the odd question? How can he tell? As my mind struggles with this seemingly nonsensical conversation, Rennie throws back his head and laughs, unable to hold back his merriment any longer. It's written all over your face. That's why we don't have to act so cagey around you. Oh, so that's why. I'm suddenly overcome with embarrassment over how transparent my emotions are. Written all over my face? Arg, my cheeks are heating up again. Still, I'm pretty happy that they feel so comfortable around me, but also unbelievably embarrassed. Arriving back at the village, the three guys split off, saying something about how going to pay a visit to the village elder. They have to tell the elder about the monster horde, which is why they came here in the first place. Before heading off, they promise us, however, that they'll only reveal the full details of what happened to the village elder. Hydrate. We don't want to make everyone worry needlessly, Hector proclaims while giving a hearty chuckle, and I can't help but feel truly grateful for his concern. It will ultimately be up to the elder whether to evacuate the village or not, but I'm sure he'll arrive at the same conclusion I did. Hector really cares about our village and the people in it. Hey Claire. Hey Claire, you know how we killed a bunch of monsters, right? About the cleanup? I say in a hushed tone now that we're alone together again. She seemed worried that the story was going off course, so I wanted to give her whatever information I could. Of course, I'm not planning on going back on my promise to Macro. Still, Claire's next words surprised me. Macro took care of it, right? Huh? You know? I'm shocked. She figured it out so swiftly. Claire grins at my blatant astonishment before explaining. I don't remember all the details, but I remember stuff like which characters can wield what sort of magic in battle. Macro stuck out in my memory since his name is such an obvious contradiction to his race. Next page. So, in other words, she had known all along that Macro was a dwarf? This storybook really is amazing if it lets you know secrets about others around you. What exactly do you mean his name being a contradiction to his race? I ask curiously, and she giggles. Well, macro's a word that means something that's large, but he's pretty small, right? That's all. My mouth falls open in awe as I gap in amazement. I get it now. That's what was contradictory. Claire's past world sounds so exciting. I'd been listening to all of her stories since I was very young, and suddenly realized even the parts I thought were too ridiculous to be true probably are. Except for the flying machine that can supposedly transport people and objects through the sky, of course. Still, I wonder if I can tell Macro that Claire knew he was a dwarf from the very beginning. I haven't really broken my promise, so it's probably fine. I decide to tell Claire about our earlier conversation. I see. So I have to pretend that I don't know that he's a dwarf. Honestly, that was my plan all along, but I'll have to be extra careful not to let anything slip. At least while we're here in the village. Don't worry. According to Claire, the story has changed since the village is now safe, which also means we won't have to go off with these three guys to the capital, which also means the time for goodbyes is rapidly approaching. We've all grown fairly close in the short time we've known each other, and a part of me feels sad to see them go so soon. We were able to change the future after all. This was by far the best possible outcome. What a relief! We can continue living a peaceful and quiet life, Miku, she says with a smile, clearly relieved. Being able to overcome adversity is good, but preventing it from happening in the first place is even better. Still, I feel a touch of uneasiness. All right. Next paragraph. The festival started as soon as we returned. The village elder also ended up inviting the three guys to stay for the festival, and they all seemed to be enjoying it in their own way. I'm glad we could repay them somehow, although Claire and I try to keep a considerable distance between them and us. Claire warned me about getting too close, so I do my best to stay away as nonchalantly as possible. She worries too much. Still, the festival is so much fun. As usual, we indulge in so many tasty treats, dance until our feet are sore, and laugh with the other villagers. We are overjoyed by the sense of peace that lays over the village. There's such an air of joviality. You'd never know that the village had been on the brink of destruction earlier that day. I love our village. I love seeing the large bonfires set up all around the town. I enjoy dancing the legendary foxtrot, and occasionally someone stops by to wish Claire and me a happy birthday. That's right. We're celebrating our coming of age this year. The well wishes from everyone, more so than usual, filled me with joy. You two are adults now, huh? Are you going to stick around this village forever? Of course, that's the plan. The question comes from our neighbor, an older lady, and Claire answers without hesitation. Leaving the village is completely unthinkable. Claire's story follows us as we leave the village, or with the story diverting onto a different path, that's no longer happening. We'd spent so much time and effort into our training, however, it didn't make sense to stop. It only makes sense to keep training and growing stronger so the next time danger threatens our village, we'll chase it away ourselves. We wanted nothing more than to give back to the people who raised us. The sun begins to set, and the adults are beginning to get rowdy. Some folks will continue drinking to their heart's content until the sun rises the next morning. Most likely, while others want to get some sleep and some sleep while at home, prepared to clean things up tomorrow. We're usually part of the going home crowd, but before we can leave, our parents appear in front of us asking to talk. They both look uncomfortable. Did they prepare some speech for us now that we're adults? We both straighten and turn to face them. First of all, welcome to adulthood. I can't believe how grown up both of you are. Thank you, Father. Thanks, Dad. Both our mom and our dad smile gently at our words before nodding. Our parents are both hardworking and kind. However, their smiles quickly fade. What's wrong? It seems serious. Whatever it is, I feel worry begin to gnaw at me as I wait. Our dad looks at Claire and then me before speaking once more. It seems the both of you have grown quite strong recently. You noticed? Huh? Of course. We both gasp in surprise at his words. I glance over at Mom, who's simply watching, smiling quietly. We're your parents, right? We're always watching you. How could we not notice? Mom! We thought we'd been so careful, not wanting to make them worry, yet they were watching and knew everything anyway. Not only that, but they'd watched over us from a distance without saying a word. I felt a lump rise in my throat. This is the first time I've felt such overwhelming love for them. We heard that would happen from the village elder, that you helped exterminate the monster horde. How? Did Hector and his friends tell our parents what happened, even after promising not to say anything? Two of us begin combing the crowd for Hector and his friends. Calm down. Don't blame those three. They came here for work, and as such, they had an obligation to tell the elder what happened, and he decided to tell us himself. Ugh. So that's what happened. I instantly feel bad for doubting Hector and the other two guys for even a second. They really had kept their word and only talked to the elder. Catching the guilty look on Claire's face, I knew she had the same thought I did. With that said, we were in the wrong for not believing you when you warned us of what might happen. We deeply regret it, and we're very sorry, Dad apologizes. I'm flustered seeing both of them look so dejected, especially Dad, whose gaze is lowered in shame. Don't worry about it. I know what I said was pretty unbelievable, Claire responds while waving. Hydrate. Her hand awkwardly in the air as if to punctuate her statement. I understand how she feels. Having our parents stand before us, staring at the ground sadly, is a little too much. But the fact that they're able to apologize for their mistakes proves how trustworthy and reliable they are. I feel proud to have them as parents. With that said, Dad continues, why don't the two of you take a break from the village for a while? Both Claire and I freeze at that suggestion. Did he really just say what I think he did? This strength of yours is going to waste in a peaceful place like this. If you go out into the wide world, you'll have a greater opportunity to put your newfound abilities to use. Abilities? But we hadn't trained this hard for an unseen future. We've been training to protect the villagers so we could stay here. Huh? Wait a minute. You want us to leave the village? We're not saying forever, Mom says, backing Dad up. Of course, you can come back anytime you want. But the two of you are still so young. And all we're saying is it'd be nice for you to experience things outside of the village. If you're strong enough to protect yourselves, then it shouldn't be a problem. Plus, we're both struck speechless by what Mom says next. Those three young men who helped take care of the monsters, they asked if you two would like to join their guild. I feel much better knowing that you're out there with them. This is such an amazing opportunity for you both. Those nice young men, I'm not sure if that's how I describe them. They didn't say anything about wanting us to leave with them or join their guild. What's going on? I glance over at Claire only to see her standing there with her mouth gaping wide open. Say something, Claire? Submit to your guild, meaning your reputation would be secured, and you'd be able to make some money as well. You'd be able to make a decent living, Dad says. I want you both to explore the world that has to all the world that has to offer and come back with marvelous stories to tell, Mom exclaims. It'll give us all something to look forward to, since we hardly ever leave the village. There's so much out there, Dad continues. A world totally different from a quiet country life. Plenty of delicious food, too, Mom adds. Maybe you could bring us some back, Dad winks. It's almost as if they forgot we were there as they continue talking. Wait, a part of me has been so relieved knowing our time with those three guys was coming to an end. I suddenly time. Come back for the next festival. And so here we are. I'm standing next to Claire as we say goodbye to our parents. Part of me feels sad, although part of me is too preoccupied with Claire standing next to me with her cheeks puffed out in annoyance. Leave everything to us. We'll make sure to take great care of your little princesses. The source of her annoyance is Hector, beaming happily and cheerfully promising our parents he'll watch out for us. According to Claire, this is a deviously crafted plan by Hector to get us to follow the original story. Having successfully saved the village from destruction and diverted the story onto a different path, she's clearly disgruntled at not knowing exactly what Hector is up to. Is it possible he has no ulterior motives at all? If she just calms down, she'd realize that this is a pretty nice deal. For starters, it's not every day that someone from a small village like ours can just head off to the large city like we're about to, without enough money saved up. You'd quickly become lost, homeless, and hungry. If you can't defend yourself, you'll quickly become monster chow. Oh. Monster chow. Although Claire and I are, more or less, strong enough together, don't have any savings. Without the guarantee of a stable source of income in a city, there's no reason to go. It would be one thing if we were so poor that we had to go off looking for work, but that isn't the case here. Still, as long as you have food, clothing, and shelter, then you have much better prospects in the city than in a small village. The best thing of all is the endless opportunities that await us. I was willing to give it a shot, considering that I can get over my fear of big city life. Or at least, that's what I accidentally told Claire yesterday. Knowing my careless choice of words might have partially led to her present grumpiness makes my stomach turn just thinking about it. You really want to go, Miku? Claire sighed when I told her yesterday. Fine. Okay. The story's different now. Enough, I guess. Yep, it'll be fine. I'm sure. I'm coming too. Ugh, for gosh sakes, Hector, you jerk! Claire finally decided to do the exact thing she had been fighting so hard to avoid. How could I not feel guilty? I'll be okay, Claire. I promise I'm only thinking about myself. I'm not in love, okay? I hope my words might calm her down, but you're such a doofus, Miku. You're so sweet and the type of person anyone would fall for, which is why I can't let my guard down, not even for a second. Ugh, she doesn't trust me at all. She knows I'm oblivious, but still. As I remember our conversation from the night before, I sneak a peek at Hector and our eyes lock. He caught me looking! He smiles at me, and I once again can't help but notice how perfectly chiseled his features are. He's just so gorgeous. Suddenly, several strands of pink hair float in front of my eyes. It's Claire's long, silky hair. Now that that's out of the way, let's hurry up and get a move on, she urges. She's right, Hector says after a pause. Everyone ready? Claire's trying to block my view. Her tone is cold as if she's trying to pick a fight. The sparks aren't just flying from Claire alone either. They seem to be coming from Hector as well. What's with those two? Are they just fundamentally incompatible? It seems pretty rude to treat him like that after he went out of his way to help us. I know she's simply protecting me in her own way, but I just wish she wasn't quite as harsh. Well, then, Dad, Mom, we'll be back, I say to our parents. This might be the most awkward departure ever, but since we probably won't see our parents for a while, it's important to say our goodbyes. Our parents wave as they watch us head off, smiling softly. I feel a little sad, but neither my parents nor I ever stop smiling. So are we going to just walk all the way there? Of course not. We'll be taking a beast buggy. The question slips from my mouth, which is quickly met with Macro's immediate answer. He then goes on to describe what a beast buggy is. I feel myself grow excited at the mere thought. Oh, Stupid Discord. Alright, Beast Buggy is. I feel myself grow excited at the mere idea of riding on something I've never heard of before. According to Macro, a Beast Buggy is basically a carriage where we sit with our luggage while a creature of some sort pulls. Up until then, all I'd ever seen were carriages pulled by horses. My heart pounds with excitement as we continue east on foot, and it's not long before the road opens up into a meadow. Sitting underneath a large tree is an abandoned passenger carriage. But where's the beast? Just as the thought crosses my mind, Hector puts his fingers to his lips and releases a loud whistle. Weep! The shrill sound resonates loudly, carried by the wind to the other side of the meadow. It'll be just a moment, Hector says with a gentle smile. Less than a minute passes before a pure white rhino scalps into the meadow. His body is about the same size as the carriage, and a magnificent horn rises up from the tip of his nose. Despite his muscular and tough appearance, his eyes hold a glint of kindness. A rhino, Claire mutters. What's that? I ask. What's that? I ask. Oh, never mind. It's nothing. It's just that I've never seen a rhino's up close before. It seems that I'm not the only one taken aback by this magnificent beast. Claire is equally as taken back by him. Meanwhile, Hector walks over to the rhinos, quickly throwing a saddle over his back and reins over his head with the practiced air of someone who's done this countless times before. This guy's name is Popo, he explains. He's my personal rhinos. He used to be wild once upon a time, but he's far too beautiful for that, so we became friends. Animals just can't get enough of you, huh? Rini says. Hector runs his hand over the rhino's hide, seemingly pleased by the comment. It definitely does seem as if animals love Hector, like Rini said, but it probably helps that Hector likes them right back. You attract more flies with honey, as they say. Hydrate. Thanks for helping us. Hector gives his thanks to Popo before hitching the passenger carriage to his body. Seeing Popo listen to Hector and follow his commands without fuss is too adorable for words alone. Hop on, ladies. Sorry, Rini and Macro, but you two will have to walk. Hector speaks to his companions as we scramble on board. It's fine. Sheesh. You sound like you've lost your mind talking all sweet like that. Yeah, I know. Shut your trap before you shut it for me, Rini says grumpily. Huh? Is there really not enough room for anyone else? Popo can easily carry more weight, but the carriage is only so big. Rini is a warg demi-human and pretty big for one, so he can easily carry Macro in his beast form. It's not that far, actually, so don't worry. Or will you two like a piggyback ride as well? He's not joking? I realize it's probably okay by the way he laughs it off, as if it's no big deal. Still, I can't help but feel a little bad for him. And Macro, too. I don't really know how to ride. I'm sorry, I say. I'm really bad. Yes. Piggyback ride. He's a warg. Huh? I don't remember exactly what that is, but I guess that's a big wolf thing. I'm really bad at anything involving coordinated movement, and it's the only thing I can think to say in response to such a kind offer. I really should have trained harder when working on my magic. I could probably do it, but I don't want to leave Miku by herself, Claire says. She won't be alone, Hector remarks back. Over my dead body, Claire spurts out under her breath, low enough that only I can hear her. Ha 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 ha. I feel myself break out into a nervous sweat. I'm only joking, Rini laughs. You're so funny, taking everything seriously. Miku, now then, let's get moving. Macro, get up there. Ugh, he smells bad, but I guess I have no choice. You have a big mouth for someone with such a small body. Don't make me toss you. Go ahead and try. The dwarf tossing reference? Oh no, oh no. Gosh, give it a rest, you two. They really make quite a racket. I'm prepared to do whatever I can to get along with the three of them. Hard not to be at least a little bit worried. But with Claire by my side, I know everything will work out in the end. I squeeze her hand in mine, determined to try my best. Our trip to the city is relatively uneventful. You see. Yep. We do, however, of course, run into a few monsters along the way, but Rinny and Macro take care of all of them. They truly are amazing. Rinny looks especially cool in his beast form, with his bright red fur, triangular ears, and big, fluffy tail, so similar to our own. Wargs and foxes used to be pretty similar, I tell Claire, who immediately snaps back about how wrong I am. Wolves, wargs, whatever. Claire's occasional use of these mysterious sounding words from her previous life usually leaves me scratching my head in confusion. We're almost there, Hector says. We're going to get off right before the city, though. In a big city like this, beasts and domesticated monsters can only enter if they're properly registered. I'm assuming that Rhinos isn't? Popo is registered, right? I ask. I assume demi-humans can't enter the city in beast form either. All the rules are in place to keep the city safe. Our village is so small that everyone knows each other, and it's very easy to spot strangers or wild beasts. In a city this large, however, things could quickly get out of hand without proper rules and regulations. But surely, Popo, who dutifully carried us all the way here, is registered, right? Hector grins in response to my question before answering. Popo is definitely registered, so he's allowed in the city without any issue. However, he can't enter the city while pulling a carriage filled with passengers. That privilege is reserved for the royal family and emergency situations only. It's probably so that they can properly document exactly who's entering the city. If someone was hiding or riding and an unforeseen situation occurred, it might be harder to deal with later. Claire speaks up after hearing Hector's response. I guess she's right. It makes sense no one can ride into the city aside from emergencies or the royal family. I mean, there would be a ruckus if the king was seen walking around town, and folks in emergencies need to get where they're going fast. Rennie needs to turn to his demi-human form before we arrive as well, right? You're right. It's kind of a shame, though. He's so beautiful, I say dreamily. Rennie's beast form really is breathtaking. It was charming the way wind blew through over his shiny red fur, ruffling it. Humph! The only beautiful one around here is you, Miku. Me? So entranced by Rennie's appearance, Hector's words completely catch me off guard, and I'm unable to hide the surprise in my voice. Beautiful? Does he mean my fur? He said the same thing when he saw my beast form earlier. A part of me was thrilled at the time, my silver fur being my pride and joy, but hearing him call me beautiful directly to my face makes me even happier. I've heard the same compliment from others in our village, but to hear it from Hector, who is himself spectacular, makes my cheeks blaze with warmth. Hey, stop flirting with Miku! Claire! I babble frantically. She's way too direct. Claire slings an arm around my shoulders, pulling me close before snapping at Hector. You're going to give her the wrong idea saying things like that. You're making me look like the bad guy here when I'm only saying exactly what I think, Hector counters. Oh, really? Well, I won't deny my Miku is both beautiful and adorable, Claire proclaims. Exactly. And I agree with you completely, Hector says. But you aren't allowed to ever say it out loud, she snaps at him. You're being ridiculous. Eve, what sort of argument is this anyway? They're both quickly holding back less and less. How can two people get along this badly? And on that note, is something different about the way Hector speaks, or is it just me? Maybe this is the real him. Ah. Perhaps he'd gone specifically out of his way to act extra polite and kind around us before? I guess it makes sense. After all, the three of them are part of a mid-tier guild, which means they must take on a wide variety of jobs. Being able to communicate well with others is important, especially for Hector, the leader. He's amazing, especially for someone relatively young. We're almost there. Stop flirting and get down, Macro says on top of Rini. We're not flirting. We're totally not flirting. Claire and Hector snap at Acro at the exact same time. It seems as if the two have, at some point, become friends over their mutual annoyance with Macro. I burst out laughing, wondering if they're friends or enemies. Miku, this isn't funny, Claire says to me. But it's hilarious, I giggle. It's not hilarious. Ugh, but seeing you laugh makes me feel better. All right, time to get down. She climbs down from the carriage, her cheeks puffed out in clear annoyance, and I follow right behind her. Honestly, Claire acting all sulky is one of the cutest things ever. Granted, as her younger sister, I'm probably biased. What's wrong with you, Hector? Finally stop putting on airs? You, Rennie. Rennie, back to his human form, stands and watches Hector get down from the carriage, his hands laced behind his head, clearly amused. Hector, meanwhile, seems annoyed. So, he really was putting on an act of politeness around us earlier. Well, well, you were putting on airs, huh? And now the mask is finally slipping, and your true colors shine forth, Claire teases. Ah, no. It's just, gosh, why would Claire say something like that? Assuming anything about someone, even her suspicions that he might be reborn like herself, isn't great. I notice Hector sneaking apologetic glances in my direction. Thank you for treating us kindly and making sure we weren't afraid. But please don't go out of your way for us. Treat us like you would anyone else, okay? I tell him with a smile. Miku, you truly are an angel. An angel? That's going a little too far. My cheeks are so flushed, I feel like someone lit my face on fire. Stop flirting with her, Claire shouts angrily, shaking her fists in the air. Unsure exactly how to respond, I stand there, wordless. All right, we are on to Chapter 3, Finzia City and Lana Killer Guild. If I do this, it's probably more comfortable. And more hydrate. Well, we made it. Welcome to Finzia, our home. Hector tells us as he leads us through the main gates, Popo's reins in hand. It's not just Hector who seems in good spirits. Rini and Macro seem happier than usual as well. It's clear how proud they are of their city. Finzia, huh? I guess this is our new home, too, starting today. Oh, welcome back, Guild Lana Killer. The guard at the gate speaks up, looking over at us. Who are your new friends? Lana Killer. That's the name of our guild. Seeing my confusion, Rini quickly tells me that. Oh, so that's what they're called. I'll keep that in mind. They hail from that Fox village, Hector explains to the guard. We'll get them registered once we're settled in, but this should cover them for now. That's 4 silver coins for 2 folks. Thanks a lot. Huh? You had to pay to get in? And why did Hector pay for us? Claire seems unusually calm, contrary to my inner turmoil. Wait, is she actually smiling? Don't worry, Miku. It's only a temporary charge. Once both of us are official guild members, they'll get the deposit back. Since then, we'll be official residents here. We owe them, but for now, they'll have to make do with a simple thank you, since we wouldn't have been able to get in otherwise. Claire snorts like having to think Hector is the worst thing in the world. Those two get along like oil and water. It's hard for me not to crack a wry smile at how poorly they get along. I know full well I shouldn't fall in love with Hector, but there's nothing wrong with simply being friends, right? Claire's attitude is a bit much, but at least she seems to be showing gratitude, I think. I'm not sure that if I got across to him, though. I'm not sure if that got across to him, though. Thank you, Hector, I say to make sure he knows we're grateful. I'm still not familiar with the rules here. I made sure to thank him myself and to let him know we're ignorant of how things are done here. I don't want to stay in the dark about stuff if I don't have to. Hector went to the trouble of befriending us and bringing us here, so the least I can do is learn more about my new home. You can learn as things come up. I'll be sure to teach you what you need to know, too. Hector's lighthearted smile as he answers me is simply too cool. His silky, smooth, golden locks make him look like a prince from a far off country, although, to be fair, I've only seen princesses in books. I suddenly notice how all the young women around us are looking at Hector. His sparkling personality can't help but draw everyone's attention. I, more than anyone, know how true that is. Oops. Preoccupied with the thought, I realized we were suddenly in the heart of the city. The bustling streets, so full of shops and houses, causes me to gasp in surprise, my tail waggling from side to side in excitement. There are just so many people. It seems like such an obvious statement, but I've never seen this many people before in one spot, and so many different races too. How could I not get excited? We'd grown up living in a small village, surrounded by folks just like us. Although I'm not a stranger to other races, there are certainly some I'd never been around, I'd never seen with my own eyes until this moment. Hey, Hector, is it okay if we head on home? Rini asks. Sure, I have to get Popo settled, so why don't you take these two with you? Hector goes on to tell us that the stables aren't too far and that he'll be back soon. With a wave, goodbye, he heads off with Popo while we start in the opposite direction with Rini and Macro. But wait, didn't Rini ask to go home? Does that mean you all live together in one house? I turn to ask Rini, confused. Yeah, we're heading back to the guild. That's where we live, so that makes it our home, right? Your guild is your home? Neat, I respond. So they really do all live together. It probably has a lot of advantages. Everyone's always around in case you need to talk about anything important, and being able to communicate quickly and efficiently is pretty convenient. Plus, I'm sure it's easier to bond with someone you spend a lot of your time around. Yep. Although, the way you're talking, you're acting like this isn't going to be your home too, Rini points out. Oh, yeah, my home? Wait, what? I yelp in surprise, blindsided by his words, as I struggle to keep my voice down. Rini, temporarily surprised by my outburst, suddenly erupts in peals of laughter. Wait, you don't have to laugh that hard, Rini. Rini, stop laughing and explain. Hydrate. Macro, who'd been silent until now, watches Rini through eyes tinged with annoyance. I wish I could look at him the same way. He's laughing way too hard. But all he can do is apologize between giggles, his explanation quickly going nowhere. I huff, puffing my cheeks in frustration, and with a disgruntled sigh, Macro takes over. Our guild is actually fairly spacious. In other words, we have plenty of rooms, more than enough to accommodate the two of you. Ha ha ha! Right. There are a couple of common areas where we can spend time together, but also private rooms with locks, so there's no need to worry. Rini finishes, a bit teary-eyed from all the laughter. I see. When they'd mentioned home, I'd envisioned the house I'd lived in until now. Our house only had 2 bedrooms and a living room. We didn't even have locks on our front door, much less our rooms. Country and city life really are very different. I guess that's partly why I'd been so flustered by the idea of us all living together in one home. As I idly begin imagining what it'd be like to live with the three men, none of whom I know that well, I'm blushing again. Don't worry. If anyone tries to sneak in, we'll get 'em, Rennie boasts. The folks around here aren't stupid enough to try to mess with us anyway. So there's no need to worry about outsiders? Still, with this will be the first time I'll be living together with strangers, let alone of the Get 'em! Get 'em! Yes. Uh let alone of the opposite sex, and I can't help worrying a little. I can't bring myself to say anything about that though, as Rennie chatters on about how he'll keep us safe with a carefree smile, patting my head all the while. Be a little gentler, Rennie? You really are a thick-headed oaf, Rennie. At any rate, feel free to use any of the gadgets we have in the house. Macro speaks up as he slips past us without making eye contact. I glance over at Claire and we grin at each other. Despite his unfriendly display, Macro really is a nice person deep down, Claire says. This must be something else related to the game. I guess Macro is supposed to be kind and considerate. His aloofness is pretty off-putting, but I'd already told myself not to judge people by how they initially appear. Granted, I'm not about to believe everything Claire tells me about these so-called game mechanics and character profiles, but making unfair assumptions about others isn't great either. I have to be more careful. And here we are, Rennie says. Hey, wait, where are you two going? That's one house too far. Come back a few steps. Macro calls out to us. Huh? What? If not for Macro grabbing hold of our shirts and yanking us back, we might have walked right past the house. This can't possibly be it. This place? This is our guild? Welcome to our home in the Lana Killer Guild, Rennie says with a pomp and gusto. This is a lot more like a giant mansion than a home. I stand beside Claire, with my mouth gaping open in shock as I stare at the house before me. Who are these guys? What kind of mid-tier guild can afford a place this large? I snap back to reality and quickly look over at Claire. She has the same dumbfounded expression on her own face. I guess this is a shock to her as well. Was it not so in her so-called game? You seem surprised, Claire, I whisper to her. I thought you knew all about them. I can't remember every little detail, she whispers back. Regardless, it's impressive. I wasn't expecting anything like this. Hydrate. After finally calming down, we step inside the mansion, following Rennie and Macro while whispering quietly to each other. So Claire only remembers general information about the game, the general mechanics, the character profiles, and the story. I hadn't realized she didn't know everything about it. I can't help but giggle as she stares in wide-eyed amazement while looking around the inside of the mansion. She's muttering to herself under her breath, and I catch snippets like, I remember seeing this place before, and I get it now. I didn't realize it looked like this, as if this wasn't her first time here. It was odd, considering we'd never been in the city before. With all that said, it's pretty dusty, Claire remarks aloud enough for the other two to hear. Because of how big it is, cleaning is a chore and a half, Rennie says. We usually stick to just cleaning the kitchen and living room, plus our individual bedrooms, Macro explains. Dust coats everything like a thick blanket, from the main entrance to the living room. The space seems fairly well ventilated, but I quickly understand what Rennie meant when he said cleaning was a chore. The sheer size of the mansion means that they have their work cut out for them. Considering that they have to keep the guild running as well, it's clear that there's simply not enough time in the day to get things done and keep the place clean. I make a mental note that this should be one of the first jobs we do for them. At the very least, you should try and get this main hallway into a more presentable state, you know? First impressions are pretty important after all. Seeing Claire's look of anguish at the mountains of dust, Rennie scratches his head awkwardly, chuckling. That's true, All those most job requests are sent through the mail. Honestly, it got this bad mainly because we never get visitors. No one sees this mess but us. Hydrate. Considering we lack the necessary power to fully transform into humans, I know all this dust will end up getting trapped in our fur, making it grimy and gross. Both me and Claire prefer to stay as clean as possible. Claire's ears are laid back in frustration and resignation. I cling to my tail, hugging it close to my body as we continue further into the mysterious unknown. I don't want a dusty tail. Fine, fine. I guess the first order of business is for us to clean all this up, and I won't take no for an answer. That'd be great, actually. A huge help, Rennie says with a grin. We're all pretty lousy at tidying up, Macros agrees. It seems like Claire and I had the same idea. We exchange glances before nodding emphatically. We'll do our best. There's no reason for us not to, especially knowing how much it'll help everyone out. I'm sure Hector won't care, and considering how much they've done for us already, it's the least we can do. By the time I'm done, the entire mansion will be sparkling clean. We pass through the main hall and open the door to the living room. The living room, in comparison, is neat, tidy, and more importantly, dust-free. I breathe an audible sigh of relief. I really can't stand dust. You were right. The living room looks great. This is my spot. Just as we enter the room, Greenie suddenly throws himself onto one of the large couch cushions. There's a loud thump, and for a moment, I wonder if he accidentally toppled onto the floor. Whoa, that was loud. You dumb ginger. You've got no manners, Macro chides him. What's your problem, you whiny brunette bum? Everything's got a protection spell on it, so it's not like I can break anything. And we all live together now, which means I don't have to act polite anymore. It's like you persively try to get on my nerves as much as possible. I feel the same way about you. All you do is complain and complain. Airheaded jerk, angsty gloomy Gus, and they were fighting again. I can't tell if they like or hate each other. Those two are truly something else. Claire massages her temples, sighing. She glares at the two of them before suddenly speaking up. I'm going to make us some tea. With that said, she passes by the two guys, still fighting, leaving our stuff behind, and disappears into the kitchen. Hey, wait, what about me? I'm left standing there, hugging my tail to my chest tightly. Should I follow Claire to the kitchen, or should I try to break up the argument? What should I do? Sorry for taking so long, Miku. Those two are a handful, huh? Come on, you guys, quit it. You're scaring Miku. Oh, Hector. My savior arrives in the nick of time, sparkling in front of me with his glowingly golden hair. Thank you. Although the way he yells is kind of scary, it doesn't match his appearance at all. I'm really sorry. They're always carrying on like this, so try not to let it bother you, okay? Let's get your stuff put away and get you settled in. I brought you a surprise. Moments later, he's smiling down at me, looking nothing short of warm and welcoming. The discrepancy between his mannerisms and his appearance is a bit too much. He escorts me to his chair with a seemingly practiced stare. The gesture suits him, making him appear truly dashing. Then he turns to me and hands me a gift bag with a smile on his face. He really is Prince Charming. Hydrate. Hey, get away from Miku, Claire hisses from the doorway. There's no need to be upset. I'm merely trying to make her comfortable. Thank you for the tea, Claire, Hector says with a sweet smile. Don't get the wrong idea. I made it for me. Oh, and yet you made enough for all of us. It's a coincidence. Now Claire's blushing. She might sound annoyed, but her cheeks are bright red. Hee. She's so cute. She's even more adorable when she's trying to hide her true feelings. Even Hector can't help but chuckle at her obvious reaction. Good. I was worried about the two of them getting along, but if they can laugh together like this, then maybe everything will be okay, despite Claire's obvious reluctance. We all take a seat at the table, lined with cups of tea and the bakery treats Hector brought back with him. Only Rini remains on his spot on the couch. Another art. All right. Macro with the kind of like, what is this? The green guy from Ruby right there. Another guy from Ruby, kind of. So that's Macro, that's Rini, and that's Hector. And right here, they both look similar enough that it's hard to tell. But I think they usually put uh Miku in the lighter outfit. It's a refreshing sight to see the table surrounded by this many people, Hector says, his words warm and sincere. I guess there's only the three of them. With a table this large, there's plenty of space to go around. Rainy and Macro nod in agreement. Can't help but think about how lonely my parents must feel looking at their kitchen table and seeing the opposite. I should write to them soon, tell them how things are going. Since we're all gathered here, we might as well use this time to talk, Hector suggests as we sip our tea. First of all, I want to explain why we asked you to join our guild. Oh? I assumed it was because you needed more guild members. Plus, you know exactly how powerful we are after that monster incident back at the village, I say. Or at least, that was the impression I got from our parents back home. Everything had moved so fast that there was a very possible chance I missed something, though. Claire scrutinizes Hector to see how he reacts to my question. Don't glare at him like that. I know Claire assumes, as another reborn, Hector wants to follow the story exactly, but we don't know anything for sure. According to Claire, in the original story, our village is wiped out and we're taken in by the Lanakiller Guild. In reality, though, we successfully protected our village from destruction. Afterward, Hector convinced our parents to allow us to join them. I know that's what happened. The night before we left, Claire made a huge fuss about it. I had a rough time calming her down. But why did Hector do that? That's about right. Well, we originally had no plans of expanding our membership past the three of us. We've never run into any issues thus far, and everything is simply easier with fewer folks around. Hector stares right back into Claire's distrustful gaze as he speaks. It's clear the three of them have no trouble finding enough work. They're all incredibly strong and competent. Perhaps the only real difficulty was in keeping the mansion clean, which is an incredibly easy problem to solve, which means, in other words, you must have a specific reason for wanting more guild members, right? Claire asks the question that's running through her mind. Correct, Hector says in response, beaming with joy, causing her glare to deepen even more. What's her problem? We're a mid-tier guild now. However, the League of Guilds recently gave us the opportunity to rank up. Huh? That's great! I can't help but blurt out after hearing Hector say that. The fact he'd managed to grow his guild to mid-tier was in itself impressive. Establishing a guild is pretty easy, so a lot of folks do, but most never end up advancing past beginner rank. Guilds can advance to mid-tier without completing a specified number of jobs within a specified time limit. Plus, not all jobs count in the same way. You need legitimate jobs from reputable sources. Add in the guild's reputation over the course of the year and any achievements worth mentioning, and they can finally rank up. I heard the requirements for making it as a renowned guild are exceptionally rough. At least, that's what the shop owners in town say, so who knows how reliable their word is? Generally speaking, only those guilds deemed reputable by others can advance to mid-tier or beyond, so I assume that crossing that barrier must have been really tough. This is why most people tend to join pre-existing guilds instead of forming their own. There's less at risk personally, and it's a lot easier. However, that's neither here nor there. To get a personal invitation to rank up from the League of Guilds themselves, they must have proven themselves in a variety of ways as a mid-tier guild, making it all the more impressive. Hydrate. Although, there's one requirement to ranking up that we're missing. something we've never done before. Hector rests his chin in his hands. A vague smile playing on his on his lips as he speaks. Only one, I ask? Hydrate. They'd met all the other requirements, leaving only one obstacle blocking their way to top tier status. I don't really care about leveling up myself, Rini tosses out there. Huh? You dumb ginger? Macro snaps at him. How can someone who loves money as much as you say something like that? The rewards we'll get from high ranking jobs will be significantly better. You'd seriously turn your nose up at that? The only penny pincher around here is you. Shut up, you irresponsible slob. Rini and Macro are at it again. So, in other words, higher ranking guilds get higher ranking rewards. The jobs themselves will probably get more difficult as well, but they all seem strong enough to take on anything. We've already talked about this, Hector says, stopping their fight. With Miku and Claire joining our guild, we're going to need more money. This invitation comes at the perfect time. So this is kind of our fault? I ask, my tail drooping. They would naturally need more money to cover our expenses. We were planning on working anyway, since we need money no matter what, but hearing him say it like that made me feel a little guilty. No, that's not it, Hector hurriedly denies it. Like I said, this invitation comes at literally the perfect time. In other words, perfect timing for what? He waves his hand in front of his face as if shooing away my concerns before delving into an explanation. The only requirement holding us back is our lack of members. There's only the 3 of us, right? In order to rank up, we need at least 10 members. In that sense, having the 2 of you join our guild will help a lot toward finally meeting our goal. I see. They don't have enough guild members. This really is perfect timing then. Plus, we can use the extra money to cover our share of the expenses. We can thank them for helping save our village by joining their guild. Granted, everything depends on our actions from here on out, but I'll do the best that I can. With us on board, you only need 5 more members, right? Did you have anyone in mind? Claire asks as she sets her teacup down on the table. Oh, that's right. Even with the 2 of us, we still need to find 5 more to make the total 10. Yep, there's some folks I've been meaning to ask, but haven't yet. Is there still enough time for that? Claire cocks an eyebrow at him. He still hasn't asked yet? How can I not be a little worried? Rini, who's been watching us from his favorite spot on the couch with his legs crossed, suddenly pipes up laughing. Don't worry, it'll be fine. We won't take no for an answer. You're going to force them? Rini, don't say it like that. Hector facepalms while muttering under his breath while Claire flinches in response to Rini's words. What do we do with him? He really is crude in a variety of ways, and yet at the same time, strangely persuasive. Still, he won't actually intimidate anyone into joining the guild, right? We know their weaknesses, and we can use them against them. Macro, I didn't ask for a follow-up on his statement, Hector sighs. Macro is the scariest one here. What the heck do they mean by weaknesses? These 2 are a bit too much for me sometimes. Or is this how most people think? I begin worrying about my ability to make it in the city. Just ignore them. Let me explain who we're planning on inviting. Hector clears his throat noisily, trying to get the conversation back on track. That's right. It would be nice to know who's potentially joining us. We can figure out the specifics later. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more worried I get. Claire has her usual scowl on her face, but Hector ignores it as he continues. Basically, I'd planned on recruiting the remaining 5 members from people who already live here in the city and are currently guildless. Everyone has their own personal prerogatives and businesses, so I'm willing to let them continue doing whatever they want. Huh? Are you sure that's okay? Claire asks. Of course, as long as they're available to help us out when we need them. Whenever we require extra help, we negotiate the reward. Considering more advanced jobs will net advanced level pay, they'd be pretty dumb passing up an opportunity like this one. Since pay from guild jobs alone wouldn't be enough to support someone, it explains why Hector is fine with them continuing their side businesses. In my opinion, it seems like a lot of work to do two jobs simultaneously, but if he doesn't always need help, then it shouldn't be too bad. Hydrate. Everyone on my list has helped us before, so our working relationship shouldn't change too much from how it is already. Hector continues. That's why I doubt we'll have to worry about them saying no. From the way he puts it, it sounds like these are old friends of theirs. It should be fine, I guess. So instead of forcing them to lend a hand, you'll simply get more money to pay for them helping out. Claire summarizes. Is that about right? More or less. You really thought this through. It sounds like a win-win situation in theory, but I can't help but feel weird about forcing people to work when we need them. We've been acting pretty recklessly lately. I have a feeling a lot of folks will balk at the thought of stepping up to help us out. I'm about to nod in agreement when Rainey pipes up, increasing my worries with his lighthearted laughter. Acting recklessly? What sort of jobs have they accepted recently? Will this really be okay? I have to believe it will be somehow. After listening to exactly what sort of people the Mystery Five are, we end our impromptu meeting for the day. The three guys want to head back in the city to report on the monsters they took down and gather supplies. They seem pretty busy for having just arrived home. Rennie lazily gets to his feet, clearly annoyed at having work to do. Oh, and of course, Macro is right there next to him, scowling angrily. Are they about to fight again? I hope not. Miku and Claire, please try and relax. I'm sure you're both exhausted from traveling such a long way into a strange city, no less. Aside from our bedrooms, the mansion is yours to explore. Make yourselves at home. Our home is your home. Rainy and Macro left together, shooting angry glances at each other the whole time. Hector spoke to us briefly on his way out before leaving Claire and I alone in the mansion. That's all well and good, but there's no way we can sit around doing nothing. Claire giggles as I finish her sentence. It's clear we're on the same page. They took us in, so the least we can do is clean up the place, I say. That's right, and start on making dinner too. For all the help and kindness they've shown us, this is the least we can do. Plus, I hate the feeling like I owe anyone anything. Hydrate. I'm definitely gonna finish it up at the end of this chapter. And we're getting to a good spot with 9 chapters. We can do these 3 at a time. That's right, and start on making dinner too. For all the hope and kindness they've shown us, this is the least we can do. Plus, I hate feeling like I owe anyone anything. Claire has a stern tone to her voice. Yeah, but we also have another book after this one. So this will be the 3-part series of book 1, and then maybe, I don't know how big the second one is, but maybe a 3-part series of that one too. Claire has a stern tone to her voice, but I know a part of her wants to cheer them up after they come home, tired and worn out. Come on, Claire, be more honest with yourself. Hey, Claire, I glance at Claire as I speak. Those 3 aren't bad. Rini and Macro might fight constantly, but it's clear they're good people at heart. And I know Hector is looking out for us. I'm not in love with him, so you don't have to worry. I just wish you were a little more friendly with them. It's kind of a shame that you're so standoffish all the time. They went out of their way to take us in, so the least we can do is be a little bit friendlier. I know that, she says, pouting. I know they're all good people, and in fact, I know exactly what type of people they are, if they really match their profiles down to a T. However, knowing that Hector might be a reborn means I have a really hard time letting my guard down around him. If he really is one, then why is he so intent on following the original storyline? It doesn't make sense. It feels like he wants to protect us, but I don't understand why he wants to take us down the path that'll lead to our doom. Now I get it. Claire's suspicions are all based on her memories from her previous life. It's easy for me to be so carefree since I don't have any preconceived notions, while Claire is left to bear the brunt of the worrying. I wish I could help. I want to support her in some way as she struggles to take this on all by herself. If only I could lighten her load. We can't think of a logical explanation yet for any of this, but we shouldn't assume anything bad either, right? For now, we should just try to get used to our new life here. Can we really fit in as members of a mid tier guild? That should be our main worry for the moment, I try to convince her. Maybe, after spending time with the three of them, we'll learn things that we wouldn't have otherwise. Our everyday life has changed along with our surroundings. Throw in all of this otherworldly game, mumbo jumbo, and she's just asking for a mental breakdown. I gently clasp Claire's hand in front of both of mine. And if anything goes wrong, we'll get through it together. Okay? That's how we dealt with our problems up until now. We've always had each other, and together, I believe we can deal with any problem thrown at us. As it is, as it always will be. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Miku. Thanks. Her ears folded back against her head, and her droopy tails suddenly perk up. She even laughs. Good. A smile suits you better than a frown, Claire. Okay, with that out of the way, let's start cleaning. Yeah. She raises her fist to the sky with a shout of encouragement, and I copy her before we burst into giggles. Claire seems to be in a pretty good mood. Don't worry. I'll always be here to protect you, Miku. Huh? We don't have to worry about that for now. I'll protect you from the Dusty Mansion and from the game story. I'll take care of everything. Huh? She doesn't seem to get it at all. We're supposed to put that aside for now, but she isn't. Come on, Claire. You're still taking this all on by yourself. I guess I'm a little dumb to help in any way, but I wish my opinion meant something. Anything. I guess all I can do is keep an eye on her and try to stop her if she gets out of control. With my tail all bushy from a new determination, I get ready to eliminate every speck of dust in the house. It really will be sparkling if I have anything to say about it. Claire heads off to start with our bedroom, leaving me in charge of the main hall. I don't want to sleep covered in dust, so our room is top priority, she shouts triumphantly before dashing off. I agree completely, which is why I'm content to leave it in her capable hands. There's a reason why I've taken on the largest task, the halls. You see, I can use magic to help me out. Light magic. Cleanse. My magic is light-based. This type of magic, originally intended for purifying evil spirits and impurities, is also helpful in cleaning stuff. I'm sure I get lots of strange looks for using my magic like this, but it's incredibly helpful. If you've got it, flaunt it. Wings of light spread from my back as I fold my arms in front of my body. Let's get every nook and cranny of this hall spotless. A ball of light forms in my chest before spreading out to fill every corner of the hall. Light can easily get around any physical obstacle. It can find any speck of dust, no matter how small or tucked away it is. Yep, looking good. Just as expected, every last speck of dirt and dust that covered the hall moments ago is gone, and everything is clean. Even the window glass sparkles. Now I just have to do the same in every room. Our bedroom can wait until Claire finishes moving the furniture in and arranging our stuff the way she likes. For now, I'll focus on the living room and bathroom. Considering Hector had said we could go wherever we wanted besides their bedrooms, I'd skip them for now. If they want me to clean their rooms, I can always do it later. Hydrate. Too bad my magic doesn't help with organizing things. There's too much stuff, I groan. I can use magic to clean, but I have to use my own hands to put stuff away. I have no idea what belongs to who or where it goes, and to make things worse, I'm super uncoordinated. The best I can do is separate everything into piles and wait for the three of them, oops, to come back so they can take over. After planning out everything in my head, I get myself pumped up again. I fold my arms in front of my chest and fly through the mansion. After all, flying is faster than walking. I can't fly around in the middle of the city, but it should be fine in here where no one can see me. Plus, the mansion is so big. I start with the bathroom, then the living room, and finally every empty room I pass by, cleansing each one by one. Finally finished, I head towards our bedroom. Maybe Claire's all done? I fly up the stairs and knock on the door to the immediate left while calling out her name. Claire? Come on in, Claire answers almost immediately. How's it going? Whoa! It's so big! Right? I was surprised too. I never expected a room this big. It's definitely big enough for the both of us. Hector said there were enough rooms for each of us to have our own room. But honestly, one room here is more than big enough for two people to fit comfortably. There's more than enough space for another bed too. I would definitely feel weird staying in a room this big all by myself. You brought the cabinet in by yourself? Wasn't it heavy, I ask? It wasn't a problem. I brought it in from the room next door, and it's empty, so it's pretty light. We just need to bring in one more bed, but I can't do that by myself. Okay, I'll help. But first, light magic. Cleanse! With the room nicely organized, it's so clean it seems brand new. Even Claire seems overjoyed, complimenting my magic skills as her ears twitch happily. She's so cute! Okay, Claire, time to get the bed. Once we do that, we can start getting dinner ready. Gurgling to each other, we step into the neighboring room. I'd already cleansed this room, so the bed's all fluffy and ready to go. There's nothing better than a clean bed to sleep in. Cheering each other on, we manage to get the bed into our room before breathing a sigh of relief. The room seems a little smaller with two beds in it, but the lack of empty space makes me feel a little better. Perhaps I have too much of a tendency to worry about money, I say. That's normal for commoners, Claire responds while laughing. You can say that again. Hydrate. We sit in the room for a moment before heading back downstairs toward the kitchen. The bathtub is pretty big too, I tell her. Really? I guess we can use it at the same time then. It might be big, but I'm not a kid anymore. Claire still likes to take baths with me. For being so mature and grown up most of the time, she stalks like a little kid sometimes, but that's what makes her adorable. Considering we just arrived and how worried she'd been this whole time, the least I can do is take a bath with her. Honestly, I was, and still am, a little worried myself. If nothing else, I can always ask her to join me in the bath. Actually, now that I think about it, is it normal to take baths here? Claire started the practice in our small village. Now everyone does it there. But maybe Hector and the other guys might get weirded out if I start filling the tub with hot water. I'm sure it'll be no problem. Claire suddenly holds up her index finger as if struck by something. Huh? What is it? I cock my head to the side quizzically as she snickers, almost evilly. Claire! I have a feeling Hector is used to taking baths. Maybe we can use that information to determine if he's a reborn from the same place as me. Taking a bath was normal in Claire's past life. If Hector has the same habit as Claire, that could mean they're both reborns, possibly from the same country. If we're both familiar with the same game, that makes the possibility even higher. There's a lot of worlds out there, so it's impossible to know for sure. But maybe, if Hector is the same as you, then wouldn't he also assume we're like him? I ask. Oh. Wouldn't he be equally suspicious of us, and yet He doesn't act like he suspects anything, I point out, and Claire folds her arms in thought. I really want to take a bath, though, she Brand new house. Did you two do all this? Hector calls out as he enters the living room. Macro's eyes are wide open in obvious surprise as he scours every inch of the house. He's definitely shocked. Is this really our house? Macro's reaction is the most amusing of all. I can't help but snort with laughter. I, I can't help but snort with laughter. I'm so happy. And what's that amazing smell? Huh? Did you two even make us dinner? Rennie sniffs the air loudly as he laughs wholeheartedly, while Hector seems flustered and apologetic. They're both so easy to read. Yeah, we wanted to eat together. Oh, unless you had plans already? Or maybe you have allergies? I ask, worried. We assumed no one was allergic to any of the ingredients we used, since we found them in the house. But we did make dinner without asking, and I immediately began to worry we did something wrong. I cling to my tail anxiously, and the formerly flustered Hector speaks up immediately. We don't have any plans at all, and we aren't allergic to anything. I just assumed making all this food would be such a hassle and was prepared to take the two of you out somewhere. The fact that you already made dinner for us, it makes me really happy. Thank you. I felt a huge sigh of relief seeing his sparkling prince-like smile. Good. He's happy. But I'm not the only one he should be thanking. Actually, Claire made most of the food. I'm not that good at cooking, I admit. It's not that I can't cook at all, but I'm not very good at preparing the ingredients. I can never get my food to taste the same way twice. I've never made any big mistakes, but since I've made a lot of small mistakes, it's easier for Claire or Mom to take over. Claire has a huge repertoire of recipes, and since she's actually good at cooking, she quickly took on the role of chef for our entire family. She claims it's all based on knowledge from her other life, but just knowing is half the battle, which is why I think she's so amazing. Yeah, I'm still on whatever. uh, Claire made all of this? Hector asks in disbelief. What? You didn't think I could? Just so you know, I'm a better cook than Miku. Claire snaps at Hector in response. Come on, he's not trying to insult you. I'm about to open my mouth to try and smooth things over when. I never thought that. I was truly impressed by your skill. Before I can, Hector speaks up, complimenting her. Doesn't need my help after all. Hector really is warm and caring. Claire stands there, her mouth hanging open in shock for a moment before she abruptly turns away and goes back to her cooking. I don't know about that, she says simply in response. Come on, Claire, you could at least say thanks or something. Gosh, this isn't going well at all. Hector doesn't seem to mind, but I can't help but be on edge. There's still an uneasy air between the two of them. Come on, my stomach's about to eat itself. Just as I begin worrying about this situation, Rinny cries out and lightens the mood instantly. And now everyone's ready to eat. Thank you, Rinny. As we sit down at the table, the three boys continue talking about how shockingly clean the mansion is now. I'm embarrassed by the compliments, but Claire only responds with a triumphant, of course. Her eyes sparkling with glee. I can't get over how much of a cutie she is. Miku was amazing, she gushes. You wouldn't normally think you could use light magic for something like cleaning, right? Our house is always clean thanks to her. She even helps make the beds and futons all fluffy. Claire seems so proud of me, her ears twitching this way and that as she speaks, but I honestly didn't do anything that amazing. All I did was fly around and use some magic. Besides, anyone with light magic can do what I did. I'm so embarrassed. Wow, so all the rooms are all clean thanks to Miku's magic? Hector asks, sounding really stunned. That's amazing. The entire mansion is sparkling clean. Um, I'm really glad you're so happy. Both Claire and Hector tend to give straightforward compliments. I'm used to hearing them from Claire, since she gives them out to me every day, but hearing those same words come from someone I still don't know pretty well makes me blush. I hug my tail tighter, and Claire and Hector laugh in response. They're making me feel super uncomfortable. In that regard, they're both pretty similar. Speaking of which, we cleaned the bathroom too. Is it okay if we use the tub later? I tried to change the subject in an attempt to escape my discomfort. As soon as I do, Claire turns to me, clearly shocked. Huh? What? No, we talked about this earlier. I wasn't supposed to bring up the bath at all. I'm sorry, Claire. Of course, it's fine. Have yourself a nice long soak, Hector responds casually, completely ignoring our apparent awkwardness. Huh? It's fine, really? Claire, in fact, seems even more confused than before. She stares at him, flabbergasted. I'm sure I looked the same way. Not only did he not seem to care, but he also followed it up with, have a nice soak. I guess that means he is used to taking baths after all. It's only fair, considering how much work you put in making this place sparkle. Plus, it's your house too, so start treating it like one. Hector chuckles as he speaks, perhaps misunderstanding our confusion as reluctance. Am I relieved? A part of me is, but a part of me is worried too. Well, thank you, but I'm a little surprised. Claire comments. Surprised about what? Claire is on edge, but I guess I'm the only one who recognizes that. After all, her stress doesn't show through her words or her actions, but her tail tends to twist around her own thigh. Maybe that's gotta be obvious. Maybe she's simply trying to figure out what's going on. She's just like you, for real, for real. Are you referring to Miku or are you referring to Claire? Sorry, I missed that earlier. Guess not too much earlier. Miku not being able to cook. Oh, okay. Well, I think she just doesn't have any practice. Like her sister did most of it, and they're both rather young. I'm a decent cook myself, but I've had years and years of practice. It's blatant enough that even Rini picks up on it and he jumps into the conversation. When I first heard about him taking a bath, I was like, what the heck are you talking about? So in other words, baths aren't normal for Rini, which means that someone here must have started the household custom. Claire quickly turns on Rini, practically biting his head off. Right! Who did you first hear about it from, Rini? Probably Hector, right? I feel my heart pounding in my chest anxiously, but the answer is not what I expect at all. Who? From Macro. Dwarves usually live near volcanoes, which means there are tons of hot springs, right? It's because of him that we had to find a house with a bathtub. Huh? Macro? We were both taken aback. After all, we'd assumed it was Hector. I didn't realize dwarves took baths. That's kind of racist, it sounds like to me. Dwarves not bathing? What is this? Shut up. You're the one with the barbaric habit of eating raw meat. Dwarven habits are far superior. What? Guys like you, skulking around in dank places and acting all high and mighty, are way weirder. Shut up, you airheaded barbarian. And they're at it again. They really do like to fight all the time. So, who was the person who started the habit in your village, Claire? Hector asks. Either he wants to shut the two of them up, or the just question just came to mind, but either way, it catches us off guard. He has both elbows propped up on the table, his chin resting in his hands, a smile on his lips. Gee, I'm not sure, Claire says with a swish of her tail. It just sort of naturally developed over time. Oh, really? What? Don't give me that silly grin. Ouch. Huh? Things are once again getting heated between the two of them. Macro and Rini are engrossed in a heated argument, while Claire and Hector look like they're about to go head to head. And then there's me. What am I supposed to do? At a complete loss, I heave a huge sigh and give up, continuing to eat the food in front of me. It would be a shame to let such good food go to waste after managing to get everyone to sit down for a meal together. I just want everyone to start getting along. We should be friends, right? All right, that's chapter 4. We will set a bookmark there, I guess. And let's look around for a raid. All right, what do we have going on tonight? What do we have going on? Tonight is a busy night, I'll tell you that. I do like the idea of raiding Tori, since you know her. I also like the idea of raiding one of the Fox Girl VTubers, considering what we're dealing with tonight. And nobody's doing anything on my list that's similar to this. All right. I'm gonna raid Tori then.